All right, welcome in everybody. Welcome to the Texas to Tennessee podcast with Soul Gravy. Tonight we are lucky enough to have Race Ricketts with us tonight, and excited to get to know Race a little bit better and ask him a few questions. So,
Yeah.
welcome in, Race. Thanks for joining.
Howdy, y'all. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Awesome. I guess first off, for maybe those that aren't as familiar with you, would you mind taking a couple minutes and maybe telling us a little bit about yourself? Give us your story.
Sure. If you still don't know from either tuning in or tapping on the name of who's on the podcast tonight, my name is Race Ricketts. That's Race like NASCAR, Ricketts like the bone disease, except I got two T's in my last name instead of one. And I am from a very small town in North Texas called Olney, Texas, Olney, just south of the Wichita Falls area. Grew up there, went to school there. I mean, most of my family still lives there to this day. Got out of high school, went to college at the University of Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner, and really started my writing journey while I was in Norman. And those early days of writing were, and I guess still to a degree, were a lot of just a fun thing to do. It was a fun thing to do that blew off some steam. It was real therapeutic and cathartic in a lot of ways, just writing thoughts down to music. And slowly but surely, over time, I was getting better and better, and the world shut down for about 2 years or so in 2020 and on. And that's when I kind of made I don't know if it was a conscious decision, but it's kind of just what happened. We were stuck inside with nothing but these songs in my back pocket. So we decided to just go ahead and get them recorded and do something with them. And by the time I had graduated, that's when I had kind of made the decision that it was time to see if we can't make playing the same 4 or 5 chords a full-time job. And so I guess we've been very lucky enough up to this point to have that my reality. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, did you grow up in a musical family, or was this something that you just kind of found on your own? Or
Not particularly a musical family. I mean, we all really loved music. I wouldn't say. I will say my brother. He plays a little bit of guitar, and he's not a half bad little lead player himself. But I was really the first one to take to writing and doing it on a live scale more than just the bedroom walls. And so, I got started picking around and singing in churches like a lot of people do. And that was my earliest memories, I believe, of really getting out in front of people and, picking and grinning, if you will. But the family, they're not just the most musically minded. I mean, they love music as much as anyone else does, but for whatever reason, I guess I got cursed with the music bug.
Nice. How soon did you know? Because I know early on when you're first starting to write, how soon did you know that maybe you had something that other people would enjoy from a writing perspective?
Man, that's a good question. I think after, of course, when I was in college, I cut this little acoustic project called Bozo. I mean, it was just me and my best friend and a 2011 MacBook that we were just putting songs down and getting on tape. And friends and family enjoyed it, as I'm sure they felt obligated to. but it wasn't really until I started playing my songs at shows, and you start seeing people mouth the words back to you, and they're kind of singing along and nodding their heads, and they're not just immediately getting up or walking to the bar as soon as the music starts. And when you get that outside validation from more than just your circle and your bubble, was kind of the impetus for me that maybe we're doing something right here, and you know, keep doing what we're doing, keep growing, keep writing as much as we can, and just get better at flexing that muscle. And that was kind of when I started. It wasn't just one moment. I think it was a slow climb, kind of finding those little moments here and there. And I think at times I'm still finding those moments, and still finding that, people are enjoying what we're doing. So, but I think every artist needs that. Every artist needs that some
sure.
some sort of proof to know you're doing something right.
Yeah,
So,
yes. Affirmation.
Yep. What about when did you actually just start playing in public in general? I mean, was it covers, or did you jump right into the originals?
So when I was in high school, like I said, I started playing in like the youth group worship band.
Okay,
And
I got
but I mean that was all just praise and worship music in junior high and high school. But when I got to college, and as soon as I started writing my own songs and had songs that I thought were good enough to start playing in front of people, I immediately wanted to share those with people.
So
And
you were doing the open mics and things?
Oh yeah, my senior year of college, I was bouncing around the entire that little stretch of the 35 corridor from Oklahoma City down to the Texas border on weeknights my senior semester, just trying to find any place that would let me come sing my songs, and learning how to play my own music in front of other people, because that's a learning curve in and of itself. I went to college to be an actor. I was an actor for a long time, and there's such a difference being on stage when you have the ability to put yourself behind a character, and there's a certain safety net in that, where writing and playing your own songs, you're giving a piece of your heart and mind without that real safety net, and it's a scary thing if you're not truly prepared and know what you're getting into. So as soon as I knew,
moments.
oh, absolutely. So as soon as I knew that's what I wanted to do, I tried to find as many uncomfortable rooms that I could find myself in to play. But
so you were trying to exercise that muscle too, just as much as the writing part.
Oh, absolutely.
So you didn't. So you were looking for the scary moments instead of, or you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially
just so you could learn from it.
Oh, absolutely. Especially coming out of COVID too. I mean, there wasn't much I had to lose anyway. So there was a lot of freedom, oddly enough, I think, in that. So, and that's where I really learned a lot, and really saw myself thriving in a lot of ways.
That's cool. A lot of folks, they'll go into the bar scene playing, cover songs, and they have to shake that, the habit of playing all the covers, and then. Mm-hmm. But you were kind of going into that from a different direction. I mean, you probably
100%.
Still played some covers, but you were doing originals from the get go.
That was the idea. I mean, I still play a handful of cover songs here and there, but I've always said if I'm gonna sing a cover song, I want it to be something that really resonates with me, and something that I can play.
Yeah.
100 plus shows a year every single night and never get tired of. And
not just for the tip bucket.
Absolutely.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, that's cool. So, what, you got something else?
Yeah, so this race, this is the weirdest question I will ask all night. Everything else will seem pretty simple after this one, but
I love weird questions.
all
So
right, cool. This will be fun then. All right, so I'm going to give you a pie. So I'm going to give you a full pie, and I'm going to ask you to divide it up into four sections. So one section is writing, the other section is recording, third section is performing, and the fourth section is the business. So everything else that isn't one of those three things. In terms of your career and your music, where do you divide up the importance of each of those areas?
so writing, recording, performing, and business.
In
Those are
the
the
in,
four.
yeah, running your business, I guess.
Right, man. Spoken like a true artist, man. I don't think anybody just absolutely loves the business side of it. But that's something I've very much had to learn how to start getting good at. Learning how to be your own boss, and then as you garner a band and a team, folks you work with in the studio, there's a certain leadership that you have to um, right, take a hold of and take responsibility of. And I've found the rewarding and very fun moments in that. But that's something I've had to work at, I think, the hardest. I love the writing and performance side of it. I think those are my top two, with the recording process slowly creeping up there to kind of join their ranks. Um, Recording and playing a producer role is something I've found to be some of the most fun, whether it's working on my own stuff or being in the studio with friends and having an ear to the scanner on their work and what they have cooking up. And that collaborative process in a studio is very much becoming one of my favorite parts that has been probably the newest um, realization for me. But for me, the writing has always come first. That's what I started with, and that's
Right.
what I think when it is the strongest, um, the rest is very easy to follow suit and makes a lot of that work easier going forward. Um, in terms of the performance, and as I've gotten the band, and I mean, we've been doing a lot of our full band shows a lot this past summer and into this fall is really the heaviest we've hit it, which has been our goal. And learning how to create a band show is another game in and of itself. And going to shows has never been more important to me, because there's always something to learn from any act you see. Um, I went and saw Sturgill Simpson in Oklahoma City this past Tuesday. And while I don't know that at this stage there's much I can learn from a professional light show, that I don't think I could so much, apply to my own show, but watching the arrangement of songs and what's happening when the song's not being played, those moments in between, um, are so important and are so fascinating to me. Um, so I don't know. Yeah.
Sometimes those are harder than the song itself.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
the BS in between the songs with the crowd and stuff is a little more abnormal for artists to do than it
Yeah,
is to sing your songs.
I would agree.
Yeah.
You can kind of turn your brain off slightly when you're actually playing the songs, singing the songs yourself, and it's not just you and your guys up there. I mean, you're responsible for the fun and the beer sales of an entire room, an evening for that night as well. So it's also the duty of myself to jokingly be the best beer salesman I can be, and learn how to make that show the most fun within my capabilities at the moment that I can. And that's something that I'm still very much learning and trying to take pieces from the people I see and friends that I see that have been doing this far longer than I have. So it's to answer your question. I'm sorry I kind of rambled there for a second, but yeah, the writing and performance have always kind of been what I started with, and the
Sure.
recording and production side is slowly becoming one of my more favorites, and reluctantly the business is something, it's an everyday learning process for me, and
That makes sense.
especially still doing it independently. So that's I think how I would split the pie up.
Yeah, good answer. A couple quick follow-up questions to that. I guess, can you tell us a little bit about your band, just your support team?
Yeah, I guess my quasi band leader duties that I share with myself, Nick Brumley, who I think y'all are talking to pretty soon as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, when Nick's not just being his own kick-ass guitar player and one of the best songwriters that I know in my life, in my circle of people, he chooses to come play bass and keep things on track with the rhythm section for me. He plays with we recruited with Nick our main drummer that we play with, named Casey Brown. He's from Woodville, the Woodville, Texas area, kind of down
Yep.
around the Houston area, and Casey is probably the most technically trained. I mean, he's probably the best musician in the band outside of just about all of us. I mean, he's got the UNT music degree, taught jazz band and marching band for a handful of years to junior high and high school kids. So Casey is he's a lot of fun to play with, and he makes me sound a lot better and a lot more interesting than I think some of my songs start out as. But Casey's great, and then our pedal steel player, his name is Logan Hall. He's from Shreveport, Louisiana. Another old friend of Nick and Casey's. That he's one of those. If it's got a string, he can probably play it, and he likes to have a set list with the keys in front of him, but he can hear two notes of a song and know exactly where he's going with it. So
Cool.
it's and then we bounce around with a couple of different guitar players that play with us from time to time when they're available. Guy out of Hyco, Texas, named Tag Thomas, and then another good friend of ours, Niles Rabakowitz of Shaker Hymns.
Sure.
Whenever he's available and not kicking ass with them, I'll always see if he's got a free Friday or Saturday night to come rip it up with us. So it's really just a group of good friends that very luckily all like my music well enough to come play full time when we get to. So they're a blast. I love absolutely every second I get to play with them, and very lucky to have them in my corner and part of my support system. Because I couldn't build this without a good group of guys like that. And when the band at this point in my career has been the next step in my growth and what I want to push more towards doing, and they have been, understatedly instrumental in that process.
Yeah. Well played.
Yeah.
One last follow-up, Soul, and then I will throw back to you. So, from a writing perspective, do you prefer to write alone? I know you brought up Niles and Nick, and I think Presley's been involved as well. I know you've done some group writing, but is your preference one way or the other?
I think majority of my stuff has all been solo written. At this point, I have discussed, thematically and, certain concepts of songs with, you know, my close circle of writers that you just mentioned. Uh, I've worked more on other people's songs more than myself, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So I've uh, thrown a bridge or a verse or two in a Nick Brumley or a Presley Hale song, and then Niles might shoot me some work tapes or songs he's working on here and there, and I'll put my ear to them, and uh, there's not much I can tell any of them that they don't already have figured out. But it's always fun when I get the go ahead to kind of see if there's any help or anything I can add to what's going on. But for my own work, primarily, it's been a pretty solo venture,
Yeah.
and I don't know that it's 100% on purpose, but uh, I don't think that's going to be the forever
Yeah.
how I write. I know and work with too many good folks not to at some point have some help sneak into a song or
Sure.
two. But
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool.
Yeah. Niles was great to have on here too. By the way, that I enjoy getting you guys being from the area. Y'all know so many of these folks personally, and I know them through a computer screen. But that being said, still going away from the interview, I was glad that I met them. You could tell good folks. So
Niles has very quickly become one of my closest friends outside of the music and just as a friend. Niles is about as good a person you could find.
Yep.
yeah, it showed pretty quick. And just so everybody knows, if you go to Race's Instagram account, several things he mentioned in those questions with Talbot and the pie. He said that he tries to be a good beer salesman. That's topic number one in his Instagram is beer salesman. Then he's a fan, which he just talked about going to Sturgill and being a pit possum. So so everything you wrote in your Instagram bio is like you covered in the first couple questions. So
I wish I could take the beer salesman moniker. I wish I could take credit for that myself. There's
understood.
I think James McMurtry brings up trying to be a good beer salesman in his Live and Ought 3 record that I heard and said, "Oh, I'm stealing that immediately. That's too good not to use."
Yeah, that's what I was
He's
going to
a good
say.
one to borrow from.
Yeah, if you're going to take something from somebody, that's a solid one. So, yeah. So, just wanted to point that out. As far as your writing it goes, if somebody hasn't heard any of your music yet, and not to say that you're trying to sound like anybody, but who would be the ballpark of where to tell them to get started?
Man,
Especially with your writing style.
yeah, I think it's a pretty cool thing because there's certain songs musically and that could have been pulled from a Randy Rogers record from like the early 2000s, and then there's some flavors of Jerry Jeff and Guy in there at parts too, with some finger picking action and the sense of humor that Jerry Jeff Walker was always so good at bringing into his music and his shows. But also, there's songs like Pulling Weeds too that are pretty down tempo, slowed down, pretty thoughtful songs that are some of my favorites to play. But I would say that those are just an example, not the hardcore three, but my mind always goes back to, the sounds of that early 2000s explosion of Texas music and red dirt music, along with some of the older guys that I grew up listening to, that I love so much, that I still love so much, and try to pull from and rip off every single day that I can.
Yeah.
But
Well, as far as writing goes, who are some folks that early on that kind of made you, I guess, pay attention to the writing and not just liking the song because you like the song, but actually
sure.
dove into the writing. Who are some folks that early on
Uh,
caught your
when
attention?
when I really started writing, I think
Yeah.
three of the more that I really clung to, and their writing was that era of the Austin, Texas songwriter of the '70s. Your guys
Okay.
like Blaze Foley, your Guy Clarks, your Towns, and while I don't think necessarily it always comes out sounding like those three, because I really don't think I sound much like
Right.
those three guys at all, but just listening to those three songwriters and hearing their stories, and then from, I guess, a more modern uh, example, like we brought up McMurtry. He's probably one of, if not my all-time favorite songwriter, and favorite Texan, along with him and his dad. But those were the 3 to 4 that I found myself getting jealous of, that I didn't think of some of those songs first, and that's
Yeah.
how I think that's how when you're listening to you know your people, and the people that resonate with you the most. But
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I was just curious who kind of made you perk up about songwriting in
uh-huh.
general. So I mean, and everybody has different lanes that they could choose from, really. So yeah, I'm a huge Todd well knows I'm a huge Jerry Jeff fan.
Yeah.
I know he didn't write everything that he did. And he didn't mind borrowing a song, but it was still he had a good way of making it his
Well,
as he went. So
I'm learning now too, as I grow in this industry, that Jerry, I find a lot of similarities in Jerry, in the fact that he and his group of fellow musicians that he was very close to, his when he had guys like Guy Clark and Gary P. Nunn in his corner. I like to think I'm living with my guys, my Gary P's, in my circle, in my world. So,
no,
Jerry
that makes
Jeff
sense.
in the circle and band that he played with, Doug Somm, of Texas Tornadoes. Just a Mount Rushmore of your good time in '70s and '80s Texas music. But I think that's what I've noticed more as I've gotten older about Jerry, is that the stable of friends and people in his corner that worked with him on making some of my favorite music, as it sounds like yours is as well, is a pretty cool thing to track historically. But
Yeah, yeah. Well, and also like you named off all these friends of music. Because I'm sure the guys that were with Jerry were really good at what they did, but they might not have been the best. But it didn't matter that they weren't,
yeah,
the best. He was getting, for like you said, the guys in his corner, and I'm sure even in your part that goes a long way. Having guys that you click with and you can hang with, plus the music.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm the first to tell you that I don't think I don't know that I would still be doing this if not for the help of the friends and fellow songwriters that I've grown really close to. Because it's just community. It's something everyone. It's not just an artist thing. It's just finding that community and that support system, whether it's family, work, otherwise. It's just kind of finding those people uh, and using your people, and hanging on to those people when you're not at your best, at your worst, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
But that being said, I couldn't do this without your Presley Hales, Nick Brumleys, Niles Robakowitz, and so on and so forth. Your Larry Joe Taylors, but.
So just one thing, and then Tabo, you can take the next one. When I was at that festival we were talking about this past weekend, there was a kid that opened up. He was probably 17, 18, something like that, with a not Tyler Chill. I'm not trying to put him in a box, but he had that Childers kind of voice, that West Virginia thing going on. But after he got through, all the folks that were already there, this festival started at 12:30 a.m. and went until I think Ward Davis finished around 12:30 at night. And but a lot of people come up to the kid and talked to him and shook his hand and all that kind of stuff. That I guess my point to that was, I know a lot of the Texas guys have there's a community. And once you kind of prove your worth and you beat the pavement and all that, you can get into that circle. But we've talked about how a lot of times in other areas of music, the circle doesn't really let you in so much. But in that circle, in that festival I was in, they were definitely letting that kid in, and he probably hasn't beaten the pavement or anything because he's 17. But they were still shaking his hand and patting his back and listening to him. So I thought that was really cool. As far as we hear about the Texas scene letting folks in the circle, but so kudos to Tony Logue and Tim Gooden and all these and Taylor Honeycutt, all these different folks that we've met, and they were talking up the kid too. So. It was cool to see. That has nothing to do necessarily with the story. I was just piggybacking on some of the things you were saying. Some of the things you were saying about the community and about your friends. I imagine that pushed him on. You know what I mean? Even further into what he was. In other words, he's ruined now.
Yeah.
He's doomed
for sure.
Too late to quit now. Yeah,
exactly. All right, well.
Let's see, Race. So I have a little bit of a home court advantage because I've seen you, I think, 3 times now, and I don't know how best to describe it, but when you're performing, you are really into it, and that's to be obviously commended. It's really impressive to see somebody get up there and really pour it out on the stage. But I'm curious, what do you see when you're playing your instruments? What goes through your head?
Man, half the time I've got my eyes closed, just trying to remember the words,
Okay.
but no. Honestly, like what's going through my head, my hands kind of go on autopilot. You do these songs long enough, they know what their job is to do, and in my head, I kind of see the lyrics like they're words on a page, like it's a book almost. Like I see the typed out Times New Roman letters on a page, and there are these flashes of illustrations, if you will. Like I'm listening to the words as well as I'm singing them. So different people and kind of memories and faces. On their own, just kind of, fill your head. And that's a lot of fun for me, is because, you're almost building a music video or, a scene out of a movie in your head, as I'm reading these words off a page, with my eyes closed in a lot of ways. But, when my eyes aren't closed, I'm watching the room. I'm kind of seeing how people are responding to what's being played or what's being sung, and kind of feed off of that energy. And that kind of lets me know what to either do next or what can be done in the middle of a song and call an audible and, tell a little joke or a story here or there that just compounds that energy of the room. Doesn't always work, but when it does, that's kind of, I guess, what's going on in my head while the songs are happening. But
Yeah, that makes sense. So, as a fan, like when you were at the Sturgill concert, would you see the same thing when he's performing, or would that be a different experience for you?
man, I'm at the point now where I'm so locked in on what each individual musician is doing. For like, it's one of those. I explained it a lot too when I was still acting all the time. It's hard to go either see a play or watch a movie as an actor because you're locked in on the little things, the intricacies of what everyone's doing, and it's kind of the same thing with music now. I'm watching like, where's this drummer about to go? Because it was one of those, I already knew all the songs so well. It's like, okay, well, how's this going to work in a live setting? What's this drummer about to do? Or like those little weird synths on the record. How is this keys player going to get a semblance of those sounds translated from the studio to the stage? So and that's where I was going back to the, always learning something from whoever it is I'm going to see, and watching to see what these world-class musicians are doing, and if there's even one thing I can pick up and put into my work, then that's a success. And so, but at the same time, I mean, you're still going to catch me, if I can get close enough, I'm going to be in the pit, slinging my hair around with everybody else, if I possibly can. So,
Yes, you're essentially being Tony Romo. You're being the color guy when you're watching Sturgill, right?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I might not know as much as Tony does.
Pretty good.
But
Yeah.
but that's a I like that.
That's actually what I was thinking about. You've seen that meme go around of the guy standing with his helmet on the sideline, and it basically says every musician at a show, like he's got his helmet on, he's ready to go, but he can't get in the game, but he's ready anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Well, are we good for a halftime song?
Well, yeah. But just to one thing you were talking about. As far as you went to college for acting and everything, and you were talking about how when you closed your eyes, you could kind of be picturing the words on a piece of paper. Does that come from the acting world, or is that totally?
That was its own thing that kind of developed. Okay. Acting is such a also your reason for like winning the room. I mean, I know you want to perform, yes,
but is that all?
I guess it kind of depends. If you're doing like a comedy or something like that, the audience is an active participant in whatever it is you're doing. If it, in a comedy setting, and music is very similar, and playing a live show is very similar that way too. They are also an active participant in what's going on. There's other pieces to where, you really have to break it down to it's just you and the other person or the other group of people on stage, and that's all that really matters. There could be nobody in the room. It could be, a sellout full house. So it varies, situation to situation from an acting point of view. That music kind of mode that my brain ended up kind of finding was a whole other animal of its own.
Do you ever do any acting still? Do you try to do any, or are you just too busy?
I don't get to as much nowadays. I mean, the music is, that's the full-time job. But every once in a while, I'll get calls from friends to they need some voiceover work done for short films or projects they're working on. So I still get to kind of stretch my legs That way.
It would be cool for you to go in and be in somebody's music video sometime.
Yeah,
That would kind of connect all the dots right there for
that'd be
sure.
fun. And I've had a.
Tell Niles to keep you in mind.
There we go. I'll be the. We'll see. I'm sure he'll make me audition. I might not get it. I'm gonna really have to, put the boots on. But yeah, I still get to do it every once in a while, and I miss it every day. But the music is such. It is my everyday. It is my life that I realized I couldn't escape from. Whether I was a professional musician, that this was my living career or not, I realized, as I got into college that it was just taking the reins in the best way and taking the driver's seat, and I just let it happen. And I'm very blessed that I did, because I don't think it's steered me wrong quite yet.
Well, you led you here, so
Yeah.
congratulations. So what song can we
I
hear?
might play. It's a unreleased one that we're about to go cut here in the middle of November. Called "Where Have the Dove All Gone." You'll hear the guitar, okay?
Yes.
So we'll try to get this out relatively soon, but. It's framed as a dove hunting song. That's not really about dove hunting, I guess, but. Well, at least it ain't cold. Well, at least it ain't raining. See sunflowers neath an airbrush sky, like painting. Well, it ain't been the same since a drought back in 12. Whitetails made it, but the white wings left. At least we ain't low on shells. We all got our reasons for leaving, got our reasons to stay. What keeps us all grounded when the ground goes away? Where the dove all gone? Where the dove all gone? Grown for money makes childlike decisions. Corn dog breakfast before the sun comes up. Ain't this a living? Struggle to shake off the shakes as we struggle to limit. It don't matter the grain or the gauge you throw up. It's all how you lead it. We all got our reasons for leaving, got our reasons to stay. Why pepper yourself with things you can't change? Where the dove all gone? Where the dove all gone? Got our reasons for leaving, got our reasons to stay. Same wings made for landing, same wings fly away. Yeah, where the dove all gone, where the dove all gone, where the have all gone. Well, at least it ain't cold. Well, at least it ain't raining.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
Good
That's
stuff.
got some great lines in it.
Oh.
The same wings for landing as or the wings for landing as the same wings for leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. That's a good.
I appreciate
So,
you, man.
will that be a will that be a Dove Season song, or will that come out more towards Christmas?
Uh, it'll probably be out in springtime.
Spring. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough.
If I'd have had it cut, we were gonna. The idea, we really want to. I think he still wants to do it. I really want to get Dave Perez of the Tejas brothers to come and lay some light accordion pad work on that song to really just kind of
Cool.
full. Oh, I hear it in my head. It sounds super great. But we've got about 4 in the can that we've first batch of songs. We'll probably get one out before the holiday season really kicks off, about mid to late November. I've learned and been told that dropping any music around the month of December or early January is just a fool's errand trying to compete with Mariah Carey and Christmas music. So
Right.
we might have to wait till about January 15th, mid-January, before we can start putting out all the new music again. But we'll at least get one out and then start kind of dropping off some more singles as we get closer to the end of the winter and through the spring. But that's the idea. We got a lot of fun stuff we're working on right now that I'm really excited about, and the band's really excited about. So we've been doing all of that. We cut the last record, 940, and we're working on this new one at a studio called The Zone. They're in Dripping Springs, Texas, just west of Austin, with Pat Mansky, and Lloyd Maines is helping do some producing on it and throwing his multi-talented strings, plural, on some songs. So we're having a lot of fun with it so far, and I think that's about. We're having fun and it's sounding good, so I think that's about all we can ask for at the moment.
Is that mostly is that? I'm sure you have a lot of people involved, but is the guys, your touring guys, playing on the album too? Is that the way that was working out too? We're
doing a lot of my band on this record. There's some overdub work, that ends up happening here or there, whether it's out of convenience or scheduling, getting everybody in the same room at the same time. Yeah. But that's kind of been the idea: is bring the band in and just play the songs till we get it right. And if someone hears something that they don't like, well, we'll go try it again. So it's been a lot of fun, and it means a lot to me bringing the band in to work on this one. Plus, it also makes it easier in the live setting once the band already knows how it's supposed to sound, and they're the ones writing the parts on these new songs anyways. So
that's good.
They have the most insight as to what's going on in my head with these songs more than anybody at the moment.
It probably gives them more I don't know, I guess the right word would be pride of the song.
Absolutely.
They're not just playing a part that a studio guy did. They're playing their part.
Absolutely. And don't get me sideways, because we will certainly. There's some session guys that we're able to work with down there. I mean, guys like Brian Bacon, who plays with Robert Earl Keen. His fiddle has played a leading role in a number of my songs off the previous album, and we're certainly going to, if he'll grace us with his Magic Hands again. We will certainly be calling his phone, and Lloyd Maines. Lloyd has been so gracious and just amazing with his time, and he's loving, and he's a fan of the music, which is just so surreal to me, having his, having his playing and his stamp of approval on these songs is just kind of goes back to that validation thing, just letting you know that you're doing something halfway right. And so
I wonder if we go to his Instagram page if it'll say Magic Hands.
Magic Hands, Brian Bacon and his Magic Hands.
Might. It should.
Do you have another one, Talbot?
I do. I got a whole bunch more, actually, but we're not going to keep you past the top of the hour. So
we can speed run them if we need to.
Well, there is a speed round at the end, so
okay.
That'll be my last series of questions. Who do you go to for unbiased opinions about your music? Is there somebody that you have that you go to? Because there are certain folks I'm sure you go to and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I love it all," but sometimes you need that person that'll, give you the different angle.
Yeah, absolutely. My brother, oddly enough, is really good at he's very much a Rick Rubin type, if this makes sense. He's not really a musician.
Yeah.
He plays a little bit of guitar, but he knows what he likes and what he doesn't like, and he knows what sounds good and what doesn't. And my brother has always been super good at letting me know if something's working or not. In terms of certain songwriting aspects and a lot of production, if we're doing something in the studio that's not quite hitting, he'll let you know. And I value his opinion very much.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, it also helps when it's somebody that you love that, has the ability to tell you the things that you're doing well or the things that, maybe aren't quite connecting. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool.
I kind of think if it in a way, as having a non-musician tell you these things would be easier, because then you're not turning around listening to something they're doing and giving it doesn't shape your opinion on what they're doing. Well,
absolutely.
How can you say that sucks? What you just did sucks too.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think what sums it all up is we are listening for different things. And he's listening to things I'm not hearing, and vice versa. And I think that's what makes
it's important.
Yeah, him and his no nonsense approach to me in my music, I think it's so valuable.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then, Race, you touched a little bit on this about kind of starting to maybe dabble a little bit more into the production or getting at least more interested. Is that a road that you see yourself potentially going down in the future, or do you just want to be more informed on it? Or
I almost just said I don't know, but as you were asking that question, I found myself kind of smiling a little bit. So I'm sure I would love to. The opportunities I've been able to go in other friends and fellow artists' sessions and kind of just be another set of ears in the room has always been so much fun to me. And finding those really constructive and notes that can really add cool things to songs. I really just love that brainstorming and that collaborative process with other artists in a studio setting, I've come to learn. So
cool.
I sound excited talking about it, so I'm going to say tentatively yes. I would love to.
We won't hold you to it, but yeah, I think it'd be cool as well.
All right, so one of the quick questions: who was your first concert you went to, not necessarily on your own choosing, and then as an adult or older teen, who was the first concert you paid to go see?
So the first one I remember wandering into was somewhere in like Red River or Angel Fire, New Mexico with my parents. It was cold, and it was one of those big white tents that you can pack a bunch of people inside, like you see at PGA tournaments. And these two artists I had never heard of, and my mom and dad I don't think had ever heard of before. This guy named Wade Bowen was opening for this other dude named Pat Green, and that was, I think, the first show I remember actually being in the room at like a live show and going, "Oh, I really like this. This is a lot of fun." The like first big, oh yeah, and then first big rock show I ever saw, it was in Dallas. Cheap Trick opened for Poison, opened for Def Leppard. That was pretty kick-ass as well. I mean, I went the whole nine, bought the bootleg T-shirts in the parking lot and everything. First one I paid money to go see. That one's harder. I've seen so many. I tell you the one I've done the most, that I've probably paid for the most. I think I've seen the Dan Quells play over 20 times at this point. They're based out of Norman, Oklahoma. So, I mean, going to school at OU, they would roll through this venue called the Deli once every 2 to 3 months. And every time they rolled through, I think I went and saw them and brought a gaggle of friends with me. So I think I've spent the most money at probably Dan Quells covers trying to get in.
How many times have you heard people yelling from the back of the room, "Fool's Gold"?
Oh, yeah.
Fool's Gold!
Every night. Every single time.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
It is a great song, but I'm sure that's the one that gets yelled at.
Probably.
Yeah. Like Boys from Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure.
You have another? You got a fast question?
Yeah, you ready for the rapid fire?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right, Desert Island album.
Oh,
You get one album to take with you on a desert island. Which album?
Just one. Dang.
It's frustrating.
that's even more difficult than an artist.
Guy Clark, Old Number One.
Great choice.
And if that one wasn't on the shelf and the ship's going down, and Viva Terlingua was on the ship, I'd take that.
Also good. Yeah.
And if that one wasn't there, I'd take Live and Not 3, James McMurtry.
There you go. Great choices. I see what you did there. Dinner with one historical figure. Could be dead or alive, I guess.
One historical figure.
Jerry Jeff Walker.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good one. Man,
Clark,
yeah. Let's go Teddy Roosevelt. Why not?
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
He'd be fun. I guarantee you he'd be fun.
I feel I don't think I would even have to talk much. Just listen to stories and learn a lesson or two about gumption and our national parks.
Let's see here. Ideal green room.
Ideal green room. Cheez-Its. A case of anything cold. We're not picky.
Nice.
Recliners would be nice if we could get a recliner or a sofa or love seat in there. And then, man, we're super simple. So I think those three, we're pretty good to go.
Yeah.
Maybe some Chicken Express or some like good brisket we'll take.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, and then the last of the rapid fire is tribute bands. Yay or nay?
I think they have their place. I think there's moments, but I mean, not for me. It's not for me, but I get it. I get it though.
Does it change your opinion if that band is no longer touring?
Yes, because I guess you're kind of filling a hole if that band's no longer around. Also, if they're just really kick ass, then sure. If you're the band, a tribute band, and you can play exactly like Levon Helm, then sure. I'll go out of curiosity's sake. So So, like I said,
I would too.
they have their place.
Okay.
It's more creepy when they dress like them, though.
Yeah,
It's also more creepy when it's 80s, just in general.
it's just
In my mind,
Yeah.
to try to recreate the 80s just seems weird, you know.
you just got these guys with dad bods trying to do Kiss and Paul Stanley, and
Yeah.
just
It's something.
Well, the Leonard Skinner tribute band was in town not long ago, so anyway, that's my joke. I said it.
I heard it.
Yeah, don't. Well, I mean, I've heard it before. I'm just saying, don't blame my joke
They're
on
coming after you.
race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They try to
Yeah.
wear the hat like Ronnie and the whole nine. Yeah.
Well, no. I was actually meaning Leonard Skinner. There's not anybody original in the
Oh,
band.
yeah, I guess
They
that's
are
right,
a
too.
tribute band.
I didn't even think.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Skinner too, but it just seems wrong.
It's
But
different.
either way, continue on whatever they want to do. I just won't go.
I think we're
Yep.
up against it, so I think we're ready for the big question of the evening. So
That's right. All right. So this started off as a joke, and now it is a requirement that we ask this question. You may want these in your green room. It may change your answer on that.
Okay.
Race, what is your favorite Little Debbie cake?
Oh yeah. Honey bun is the easy answer. That's the easy answer. Oatmeal cream pies and Little Debbie's, I would take both, but both work well in the microwave. And I'll go honey buns because I name dropped them in a song. So we'll go honey buns, even though I think it's the easy answer.
I've never tried a warmed up oatmeal cream pie.
Oh my goodness, it's go to like deer stand breakfast. It's easy.
I think somebody said that Bluebell has a
Ice cream.
oatmeal whatever.
Somebody
whatever.
does.
I haven't had it yet, but I don't even like sweets, but I would probably try that.
I've never tried it either, but I might have to go check and see if the store's still open.
Somebody
right
did
now.
send me a Snapchat of a Christmas tree ice cream. The little pint of Christmas tree flavored ice cream.
Oh,
Okay,
So-
nice.
So it does exist because they said saw this and thought of y'all. I'm like, damn, out of all the things to be known for.
they're also
what it
getting
is.
close to Little Debbie. They're like cosmic brownies, but Christmas time they'll make them little Christmas trees, and they put like green icing on them. And for whatever reason, those always seem to taste better than
It's
the
the
regular ones.
It's the Christmas spirit.
So
It is Christmas spirit.
So those are
Okay.
coming up. Put those on people's radar. Little reminder.
Absolutely.
All right, Little Debbie, we're coming for you for a sponsorship. This is our campaign every week. So, all right. Well, Race, we appreciate your time, man.
Absolutely.
And we give the spill. I try to remember every time. If you don't follow Race, make sure you do. Follow him on all the socials, and especially where you socials too, so you know where he's playing. But go wherever you stream your music. Go hit the follow button. Any pre-saves. Do all the stuff that they ask you to do because they're not just saying it, like it actually matters to everyone involved. So, yeah. So, all right, Race, I appreciate the time, man.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so
Thanks,
much for
Reese.
having me. I had a blast.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for your time.
There we go.